Hello YouTubers, Chief Prepper here. I had an epiphany, so to speak. I realized there was something I could talk about that I don't think I've seen anyone else talk about. We have examples right now in Louisiana, and Houston's probably going to experience a little bit of this, where you're going to have an extended grid down situation. Extended being like at least 30 days or 25 days. Not a shift grid down. But this would apply in either the shift or the current situation in Louisiana and other parts of the Gulf Coast where you're not going to have electricity. So if you don't have electricity, at least from the power company, then you're a prepper, or you're someone who has invested in power generation and stuff. You need to have a plan of how you're going to eat your food. I have a combination of a deep freeze, and I have 2 refrigerators and freezers in the house. Then I have a pantry that has dry goods, non-perishables. Right now, with my current backup power generation system, I have 10 days of continuous power. I have one EV240 Bluetti solar generator, so I will have power for a long time. But because I only have 10 days of generator power, maybe 15 depending on how often I run it, and I have the oil on hand to do the oil changes, because you have to do those every 100 hours, so basically every 4 days. If you're running it non-stop, if you have to keep track of your hours, obviously. So you need to have a plan. Like, I thought about it today several times. Basically, we would start with the deep freeze, and we would eat that completely down. And then, and this is about reducing your power consumption. So my generator burns about 8.5 gallons a day, and that's pulling almost max load on it. As far as max load that it can support with the way I have it hooked up. I'm not sure if it can hold more. It's supposed to be able to run 50 amps, but it only has a 30 amp plug on it. So, with that in mind, you know, if I thought it was going to be an extended grid down situation, then I probably would not run it 24 hours a day. I'd probably run it 8 hours on, 4 hours off, 8 hours on, 4 hours off, and then as my fuel got continuously lower, and hopefully my food and my deep freeze got continuously eaten, then my power consumption would go down. Some of you might say, why is that important? Well, no matter who you are, no matter how much fuel you have on hand, you're going to run out. So if you don't have a combination of power generation between like a gas or liquid propane or natural gas generator, and you don't have some kind of solar generator, then eventually you're not going to have any power. So in my case, I have a combination, and I have plans. Probably not this coming year, maybe, but I mean, that stuff is pretty pricey. So I mean, if I get my liquid propane tank, 250 gallons, it's going to be about $3 grand, and then get it plumbed into where my generator is. That'll be a good thing. That'll increase my power to about 30 days of like power 24 hours a day. Then again, if I shut it off, shut it on, that type thing, I can extend out the number of days. And then my plan is also to get, for sure, one more EV240 and solar panels. Now, one of the problems is down here in Texas is during basically late fall, winter, and part of early spring, we have a lot of cloudy days, so I would still have power, but I would not have necessarily my EB240 will run my refrigerator for 10 hours down to 40%. So technically I could probably run it for 12 hours. So my plan would be to charge the solar generator during the day with either the generator or the solar panels, depending on the weather. Or shut the gas generator off, or at least the big one, because I have two right now, and I could run a smaller one to run the air conditioner in the master bedroom. Then, you know, basically you're going to need to figure out how to manage your power consumption and reduce it over time. And then it also depends on what kind of food stores you have. Like I have a deep freeze with food in it, and then I want to get a second deep freeze to split it up so I got meat in one, and you know, pizzas, vegetables, you know, all the other stuff, and you know, bread and that kind of thing. Let's see. So that's something I thought was very important for everyone to think about, you know. And I understand if you're not at the same level on power generation that I am, but it is something you should consider. And it's very important that you know how to change your oil on your generator, and it's very important that you know how to, you know, basically fill it up. You know, if you're filling it up and it's hot, you don't want to spill gas and then burn it up. So you also don't want to overload it. There's a lot of things that go to it. You're going to need a generator hooch. You know, if you're down here in the south like me in Texas where it's hot, and it can get really hot down here, like 112 degrees, there is a limit on the temperature rating that the generator can operate in. And I can tell you, when I was doing my video testing that thing, I had the muffler pointing into the hooch. It's now been turned around. It's pointing out the back, but it's basically open. So you need to understand that your generator needs to breathe. So that's kind of important. I mean, if it gets like, it's gotten like 112 down here in San Antonio a couple summers. Not like all day, but like for 5 or 6 hours. So in the summertime, if it was that hot, I'd probably have to take the metal off the front so that there would be enough air. There are other considerations to consider, you know. If you got power and, you know, you're living good and your neighbors ain't got power and they're not living so good and they see that shit, then unfortunately you may have some decisions to make. But I thought I'd do this quick video on power consumption, reducing your power footprint over time as the power is down. You know, eventually, if it was a shift event, you would be restricted only to solar and your solar generator. So in my case, I would use that primarily to charge my flashlights that I have, the lights I have on my weapons, to keep those going. My headlamp batteries there. Some of them are all the same batteries, some of them are not. You know, keep a plethora of CR123As on hand, you know, probably 50 of those. And those are expensive, so, but one of the things I plan to buy on Black Friday this year, because the company that I have the headlights from and some of my weapons lights from, they have a Black Friday sale that's really